Okay, good evening, everybody. Tonight is the night before Shiva Tammuz, the 17th day of Tammuz, which is a fast day. So instead of learning regular halacha, we're going to learn the laws of the fast day tomorrow and what's called in Ashkenazic circles the 3 weeks, which begins from tonight, Shiva Tammuz through Tisha B'Av. Now, to give you a brief historical play-by-play, so to speak, of what happened. There was the first Bais Din got destroyed, the second Bais Din got destroyed. In the first Bais Din, on the 10th of Tavis, we know we have different fast days in the year. 10th of Tavis, Shiva Tammuz, Tisha B'Av, then we also have Tzim Gedalia, Tainus Esther. But there are a few fasts that deal with the destruction of the Bais Din. Asar Tavis, on the 10th of Tavis, the king Nebuchadnezzar made a siege around the city of Yerushalayim. And that went on for approximately 3 years. On the day of Shiva Tammuz, during the second Bais Din, the first Bais Din, the pasuk says it was the 9th of Tammuz that they broke through the wall. But the Yerushalmi says that both first and second temple were on the 17th day of Tammuz. So it actually happened on 17th day of Tammuz, which is tonight and tomorrow. The Goyim broke through the wall of Yerushalayim and started destroying the city of Yerushalayim. On the 7th day of Av, 2 days before Tisha B'Av, they actually went inside the temple, the Bais Din, and started destroying it. On the day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, in the afternoon, the Goyim lit the first and second Bais Din, and it burned for the remainder of the 9th and part of the 10th. So because of these times, we have what's called a mourning period for the Jewish people over the destruction of the Bais Din. Now, there's 5 things that happened. There's an expression our sages tell us, as we know, good things happen on good days, bad things happen on bad days. 5 bad things happened to the Jewish people on the 17th of Tammuz. And therefore it becomes a fast day because with the tragedies that happened. The first thing that happened on Shiva Tammuz, going way back historically, when Moshe Rabbeinu came down the first time from Har Sinai, he came down with the luchos, the tablets. He saw the Jewish people worship the golden calf. He broke the luchos. The breaking of the luchos took place on the 17th day of Tammuz. 17th day of Tammuz, sages tell it according to the calculations. When he went up, when he came down, bottom line is, it was on the 17th day of Tammuz. Another thing in the time of the first Bais Din, they used to bring, the second one also, used to bring 2 daily sacrifices, called the carbon tummy. On the day of Shiva Tammuz, the 2 daily sacrifices, morning and afternoon, were abolished. They were stopped, which is another sad thing in Jewish history. The third thing we mentioned, they penetrated the walls of Yerushalayim and broke through the wall. The fourth thing was the wicked Apostumus, who's one of the generals, burnt a Sefer Torah. And the last thing was the Goyim put up an idol in the Bais Din. So because of these 5 things, that terrible things that happened on the 17th day of Tammuz, therefore we Chacham established it as a fast day. The purpose of a fast day, by the way, our sages tell us not just not to eat and lose weight. The purpose is for a person to remember what happened, the terrible things that happened to us, and basically to do tshuva. The whole concept of a fast day is really for us to repent and regret what terrible things that our forefathers did, and therefore hopefully will undo what they originated. So now we have like this. Because the Bais Din was destroyed, so we have, God forbid, when somebody passes or a relative passes away. Okay, so we have Shiva, which is for the 7-day mourning period. Then we have Shloshim, the 30-day period, and then you have a year of mourning. When it comes to the destruction of the Bais Hamikdash, we also have three similar aspects. Tisha B'Av itself, the day of Tisha B'Av, is like the week of Shiva. Many of the laws, it's like the din of Shiva. The 9 days, in a certain respect, like the laws of Shloshim, the 30-day period. And the 3 weeks is considered like the yearly mourning period. Not exactly in halacha, but these are the similar. So you have the 3 weeks, and then within the 3 weeks, you have the 9 days. And then you have, within the 9 days, you have the day of Tisha B'Av. The Gemara, when it speaks about these days of Churban Bais Hamikdash, the Talmud only speaks about the week of Tisha B'Av. In other words, nowhere in the Gemara is there a mention about the 3 weeks, or keeping the 3 weeks, keeping the 9 days. It only speaks about the week of Tisha B'Av. Later on, the Ramah, and this is the way all Ashkenazic Jews behave, we have the 3 weeks, and we have the 9 days, and we have the week of Tisha B'Av, and we have Tisha B'Av. Many of the Sephardic people don't have the 3 weeks with the 9 days primarily. They have the week of Tisha B'Av, like the Gemara says. But in our circles, in Ashkenazic circles, so we have actually the 3 weeks, and you're not allowed to be lenient in the 3 weeks and so on. So number one, well, let's discuss a little bit about the fast day. The fast day begins in the morning. It begins at dawn, which is approximately 72 minutes before sunrise. That's when the fast begins. If somebody wants to get up early and to eat, I'll give you an example. Let's use times in LA. These are only LA times. The fast begins at 4:17. Okay, and ends 8:43. It's a long fast. But let's speak about the morning. Okay, the fast begins in LA at 4:17. So if you want to get up early to eat, because you want to get up 3:45, whatever, you have to have in mind before you go to sleep that you're planning to get up to eat or drink. Because if you don't, as soon as you go to sleep, the fast begins. So if somebody didn't have that condition, they didn't think about it, or they just didn't think they're going to get up, and they go to sleep, and then 3 o'clock in the morning, they happen to wake up for whatever reason it is, it's too late, you cannot eat or drink. So therefore, the best thing is, before you go to sleep tonight, just, for the fun of it, so to speak, just in case, have in mind that I'm planning to eat and drink until the last time allotted that I would be able to eat and drink. The fast is a pretty sick, it's not sick, it's a serious fast. All fast days are sick. We should get rid of them, the Rambam says. They should be transformed to simcha. But it's a pretty severe fast because it's over discussing the destruction of the Bais Din. Pregnant women, I'm talking practical halacha now because there's a lot of different opinions in all this. Practical halacha is a woman who is pregnant or nursing. According to many opinions, and most rabbis are lenient about that, even if she stopped nursing the baby, but the baby is under 2 years old, they don't have to fast. So if, let's say a woman had a baby, she was nursing for a year, and then the second year she's not nursing for whatever reason, according to many opinions, and that's what we rely on today, that if the baby is still under 2, the woman does not have to fast because her body didn't get back to normal yet, so she has a din of a sick person. But just for the record, the husbands have to fast because they didn't have the babies, even though they think they worked harder than the women did. But the husbands have to fast. But the women, if you're pregnant or nursing or a child under 2, you don't have to fast. People that are sick, I don't mean deathly ill, but they're sick, they can be lenient and not to fast. If they're able to fast at least until midday, which is like approximately 1 o'clock, would be better. But if not, if they're not feeling well, they don't have to fast. In the davening tomorrow morning, we have, it's a regular davening. It's Thursday, so we have Tachnun v'Hurachum. We have an extended slichus in the Sidurim for Shivase B'Tammuz. Then we say the long Avinu Malkeinu at Shachris and Mincha. We have Torah reading, special for the fast day. And again, before Mincha, there's Torah reading and Long Avinu Malkeinu, and Haftarah in the afternoon also. So there is, an extended davening, so to speak, tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Now, that's the dinim of the fast day itself. You need to fast. If somebody is not fasting, they should not lead the services, and they should not be getting an aliyah to the Torah. They can do Hagba, they can pick up the Torah, they can tie the Torah. That even if you're not fasting, you could do. But if you want, you shouldn't be getting an aliyah if you're not fasting, or if you're not fasting, you shouldn't get an aliyah, and you shouldn't be the chazan for the actual davening. That's the laws of the fast. Again, in LA, the fast is over 8:43. Break your fast, you could have meat. It's not an issue. Now, let's discuss a little bit the dinam of the 3 weeks. One already is too late already. And a lot of people, I don't know where they get this from. I mean, there is such an opinion, halacha, but nobody passes like that. And that is all the laws of the 3 weeks that we'll soon discuss. Even though the fast begins in the morning, the laws of the 3 weeks begin tonight at sundown. That means a bunch of people call me 2 minutes to sundown. Can I take a haircut tonight? I said, no, you can only take a haircut until sundown. It's too late. You have to wait until after Tisha B'Av. Now, what are the dinim of the 3 weeks, practically speaking? You're allowed to get engaged. You're not allowed to make. I'm talking now Ashkenazi community. Sephardim have different customs, and a lot of different Sephardim have different customs, by the way. You're not allowed to make weddings during the 3 weeks. You're not allowed to listen to music during the 3 weeks. It's not only live music, it's recorded music. Some people are lenient with a cappella, which means people singing, but it sounds like instruments, but it's not. Many people in halacha forbid it. Some people are more lenient that if it's not actual music, it's singing, so then you could do it during the 3 weeks. Nigunim you could listen to, but no music. I'm not talking, there's a little bit of background music that's not the big issue, but I'm saying to listen to Nigunim with music, you're still not allowed to during the 3 weeks. The 3 weeks, by the way, is stricter than the Omer period. The morning of the Omer period is not as strict as the 3 weeks period is. So people have to keep that in mind. So musical instruments are forbidden. People that are learning an instrument and they're practicing and they really need to practice, if not, or get the lesson during the 3 weeks, there are opinions that permit it until the 9 days. Once the 9 days come, you really shouldn't be practicing or taking music lessons also. If somebody's profession is music, they teach music or they play music for whatever it is, so then many people permit it until the 9 days. The 9 days, they say you really can do it. Another thing, which is also should not be done during the 3 weeks, is we don't make a bracha shechianu, which means as follows. We don't. If you eat a new fruit, we don't make a shechianu, so you don't eat the new fruit. No, some opinions say you could eat it if that's the only time you eat, but we don't hold like that. We hold that because we don't make a shechianu on the new fruit, so you don't eat new fruit. You don't buy expensive clothing during the 3 weeks, because again, technically you would have to make a shechianu. We don't necessarily. So bottom line is, you can't eat new fruits. You shouldn't be buying expensive clothing. If they're on sale and you're going to put it away after the 9 days, then you would be allowed to do it, according to most opinions. But let's say, and what, by the way, the Rebbe writes, interesting, by Sfir Omer, we do make a shechianu on Shabbos, but in the 3 weeks, the Rebbe writes clearly, our custom is we don't make a shechianu even on Shabbos. So many opinions say you have a new fruit, wait until Shabbos and make a shech, but we don't do that. We don't make a shechianu on Shabbos during the 3 weeks. Now, what happens if you're doing a mitzvah that demands a shechianu? To give you an example, a pidyon haben, if you redeem the firstborn child, so you make a shechianu at the time of the pidyon haben. If somebody's pidyon haben, the 31st day falls out in the middle of the 3 weeks, you make a shechianu. Sephardic Jews make a shechianu at a bris milah also. We the Ashkenazim don't because there's pain of the child. But the Sephardic, the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch Paskin, that you make a shechianu at a bris milah, and Sephardic do. Sephardic Jews make a shechianu at a bris milah. So if there's a bris milah during the 3 weeks, you make a shechianu. But you don't make a shechianu on things of new fruits and things like that. Now, haircuts, shaving, trimming, mustache, combing hair, or even for a child. We're not, well, I didn't say combing hair, you can't. I'm saying combing hair, this is the headline over here, the title. So you cannot take haircuts during the 3 weeks. Again, Sephardic community is different. Ashkenazi community, the way we hold, you're not allowed to take haircuts during the 3 weeks. If possible, people should refrain from shaving. Men should refrain from shaving if possible. If they need to for business, there's a lot of leniencies that they would be allowed to do it. Trimming a mustache, if it gets in the way of the food, so then you're allowed to trim it even during the 3 weeks. Combing hair obviously is not a problem. Even upsharanish, when you cut the baby's hair the 3rd year, even if it falls out, if the baby's birthday falls out during the 3 weeks, you don't do the upsharanish at all. You don't cut the hair, you push it off until after Tisha B'Av. Okay? Now, cutting nails is not a problem during the 3 weeks. You're allowed to cut nails. Women, by the way, are allowed to shave their legs and other parts of the body, not the regular hair. Now, if a woman needs to cut her hair, let's say she's going to the mikvah, or for tznius purposes, the hair is sticking out of her sheitel or tichel, she would be allowed to trim the hair for tznius purposes, or for mitzvah purposes if she needs to go to the mikvah. But otherwise, women are not allowed to cut the hair. Men are not allowed to cut the hair. You're not allowed to cut a child's hair. Another thing is cutting nails. You're allowed to do during the 3 weeks. During the 9 days, you're allowed to cut nails for Shabbos. So even the Shabbos of the 9 days, you can cut your nails, but not during the rest of the 9 days. But the 3 weeks, it's no problem. You can cut nails, and there's not an issue with that. Generally speaking, let me just say one more thing. Swimming is allowed during the 3 weeks. But Paskim write, it's brought down in Halacha, that on the day of Shiva B'Tammuz itself, adults should not swim. Because we want to do a little bit like the 9 days on the day of Shiva B'Tammuz, which is a fast day, and it's, the day he broke the luchos and the wall was broken through. So this is, but you can swim not tomorrow. In other words, tomorrow you shouldn't be swimming. Somebody needs it for health reasons, or they have to go swimming, doctor's orders, whatever, then they're allowed to. But recreational swimming, we'll call it, should not be done tomorrow. Kids under bar and bat mitzvah are allowed to swim even Shiva B'Tammuz. They're lenient with the kids. There is a rumor that women say it more than men do, and halacha brings it down and says this, that people say that there's no basis for it in halacha. Some people, nobody knows where it comes from, by the way. There are people that say, if you go swimming before the 3 weeks, then you're allowed to swim during the 3 weeks. If you didn't swim before the 3 weeks, then you're not allowed to go swimming during the 3 weeks. That's what's called in Yiddish, abava ma'aser. It's not true. Has nothing to do, even if you didn't go swimming before the 3 weeks, you're allowed to go swimming during the 3 weeks. Now, because the 3 weeks is not a lucky time, it's not a mazel dika time, people should avoid doing dangerous things. For instance, In Shulchan Aruch it says, I mean, this you can't do it nowadays anytime, but it says during the 3 weeks you should not hit your students, hit your kids, because hitting, God forbid, something dangerous could happen. People should not do dangerous trips during the 3 weeks. It's not a lucky time. Sometimes you do dangerous things, you're hoping that Hashem will help you. But we shouldn't be doing dangerous things during the 3 weeks. If people have medical procedures that are not, must be done, they should avoid doing it during the 3 weeks, definitely more so during the 9 days. So you're talking, if it's elective surgery and, if you can avoid doing it during the 3 weeks, you really should. And definitely, it's better to do it during the 3 weeks than during the 9 days, because again, the 9 days is even less mazeldik, less good than the 3 weeks itself. But many times today, I got this many times this year already. Many times doctors want to schedule elective surgery for the 3 weeks, and if you don't do it then, you're going to have to wait 2-3 months to get it done. And the doctors say you really should do it sooner. So then you're allowed to do it during the 3 weeks, preferably not during the 9 days. You should avoid doing it during the 9 days, but during the 3 weeks, you would be allowed to do it if you had to, especially if it's not a very dangerous surgery. A regular doctor's appointment is not an issue. We're talking about procedures, surgeries, operations, things like that people should be a little bit more careful when it comes to the 3 weeks. Okay? So that is in a nutshell. I mean, you have books written on the 3 weeks, but in the practical cases, these are more or less the dinam of the 3 weeks. If anybody has any questions, by the way, you can make a bar mitzvah, but without music. See, somebody comes bar mitzvah, then you can make a bar mitzvah, but you don't play music. They could dance according to many opinions, but you just don't play actual music. If anybody has any questions, good. If not, we'll go to Tanya because these things will be finished. Okay, so then I'm going to say one thing that I've expressed many times about Shiva B'Tammuz in a spiritual sense. We said before, one of the main things that happened on Shiva B'Tammuz was they broke through the wall of Yerushalayim, which eventually led to the destruction of the Bais Din. So what's the spiritual aspect of that? The word Yerushalayim, Chassidus in the Gemara explains, the Rebbe brings it down very, very often in the Sichos. Yerushalayim comes in 2 words, Yira Shalem, complete level of fear. Every Jew has not only is there a physical Yerushalayim down here and a spiritual Yerushalayim in heaven, the Gemara says, but every Jew has within him Yerushalayim. Now, Yerushalayim means fear of Hashem. This Yerushalayim, in the time of the Bais Din, had a wall around it. That's what we said. They broke through the wall. Yerushalayim was a walled city. What's the purpose of a wall around the city? The purpose of a wall around the city is to protect the city. So every Jew needs to create a wall around their Yerushalayim, the internal one, that no evil forces should become able to break it and penetrate and destroy this level of Yerushalayim that each one of us has. The Gemara said, there's a pasuk that says, Ani chayma, I am a wall, and the Gemara says, Ani chayma zu Torah. What is the wall that protects the Jew? Torah learning, Torah mitzvahs. That is what protects the Jew. What happened on Shiva B'Tammuz? They broke through the wall of Yerushalayim. They even made a crack in the wall. What happens when you have a crack in the wall? Everybody who has a wall knows that the crack will start off very small. But if you don't fix it, the crack keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until the wall collapses. A Jew, to protect Yerushalayim that each one of us have, we need to make sure that this wall should not be broken through with Goyishkeit, the enemies of the Jewish people that wanted to destroy the Beis Hamikdash and destroy Yerushalayim. So therefore, what is the concept of Shivasa B'Tammuz? What's the terrible thing that happened in Shivasa B'Tammuz that nowadays we need to rectify, to undo it? We have to make sure that this protective wall that each person has around their Yerushalayim, around their level of Yiddishkeit, fear of Hashem, and so on, we have to make sure that Goyishkeit, secularism, evil, temptation, worldly temptations, all that shouldn't crack the wall of Yerushalayim that each one of us possesses. Because when that happens, God forbid, it leads to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And we shouldn't think, okay, it's only a little crack. I did a little compromise becomes a big compromise, and it becomes a very big compromise and too big to fix. So we have to, that's the lesson of Shivasa B'Tammuz. Okay, let's go to Tanya.